And we should be live now. Hey everyone, and welcome to another wonderful episode of Everything Outside Code. And if you're new for the first time listening to us, we typically talk about everything outside software engineering, the boring bits as folks like to call it, but everything from how to drive revenue, grow a business, um, create products as an indie developer or an indie hacker. And today I have a wonderful guest, one of my very close friends. So I'm going to try as much as possible to not laugh throughout this because we're going to try to be as serious as serious as we can be. But I have Kenny on the stream today. Hi Kenny, what's up?
Hello, how are you doing? Yeah, happy to be here. Happy to talk about everything outside code.
Yeah, that's great. And if you're listening to us and you have comments, please leave them. Leave the comments. We'll see them, and we will take them on the stream. And whoever knows us that's out there, you can also leave your you can also leave your comments, and we're happy to take them as well. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button. It should be somewhere like down here, just so I can feed my family in the near future. But
Very
let's get right
important.
to it. So, Kenny,
Yeah.
what's up? What are you working on lately? How's it going?
It's going well. What have I been up to lately? I've been
I think we could.
interviewing.
Wait, sorry. I think we could take it a step back and say like, what do you do, and who
What
are
do
you?
I do?
Basically, tell us who you are. Yeah.
Okay. Who is Kenny? So I'm a developer advocate. I've been for 6 years. I started with Flutter Wave. I worked as one of their first Devrels, and then I ended up hiring 10 more engineers into my team at Flutter Wave
Yeah.
before moving on to Netlify, where I also worked as a senior developer experience engineer for some time. And I've I've been a little knee deep into Devrel in a couple of different organizations. Um, Flutterwave is one of them. Netlify is one of them. I worked with Plasmic as well for some time as the director of Devrel. And then recently at Colorblind, which was my first Web3 experience. I guess we'll
Yeah.
talk about all of that later. But yeah, that's who I am. I'm the founder of DX Mentorship Program, which is the program that um, I want to use as a way to give back to the community that, shepherded my own path, coming up and becoming a dev advocate and, becoming all that I am today. So DX mentorship is a way to help developers and pretty much anyone in any discipline who wants to get into DevRel get started the right way. So that's what we're about. And that's what I've been up to.
Fantastic. That's great, man. Speaking of like getting into DevRel and community, I remember back in like 2016, you were an Android developer, right?
Yeah.
So we did Android. We one of the first things we did then was like the community.
Yeah.
How did you go from that Android developer with a very heavy backpack to developer relations?
Yeah, it's a long story. So that's actually my journey into tech. Is I started off with the Andela Learning Community that was sponsored by Google at the time. Um, I was part of the Android track, so that was where I was doing all of my learning, taking all the courses and everything. I used to go to the Andela office every now and then in Lagos back in the days. So that's my part. That's how I started. That's my journey into tech. Actually, I started as an Android developer. I ended up building the Android Nigeria community. Actually, that's over 2,000 members strong now. Um, but how did I go from that to developer advocate who mostly deals in web technologies now? Long story short, I didn't get as much help as I needed or as I wanted. I didn't have a lot of people to talk to or to help, and Android Studio was not really working on my machine. But once I run the Gradle build, my laptop just starts screaming and the fans go off, and yeah, it got more difficult by the day working with Android Studio on my HP laptop at the time. Um, Well, I think the only people that were like that I know that were doing Android development were Moin and Shegun Famisa at the time, right? And at the time they weren't people that I could just DM and say, "Hey, what's up? I'm having this issue. Can you help me out?" So I didn't have a lot of support and a lot of people to ask what to help me out. So for everything I struggled with, either I found the solution myself or I just didn't. So after a while, I mean, you were already doing React and you were doing cool things on the web. CodeBeast was on the web. Everybody I know were doing React. So I figured, you know what? I'm just gonna go where everybody else is and at least get some help when I have some issues. And that's how I pivoted into web development.
So you went because everyone else was having like, or where you could get help if you had issues.
Yeah,
Really?
I went where I could get help if I had issues.
Okay,
Be
that's
careful.
great. That's great. No, it's great to go where you could find the most support. And
Yeah,
I understand at the time also it was where the place with the most opportunities. Right. And
yeah.
it was only right that you go also you know
100%, 100%. The things that I was doing at the time that were helping me make some money were mostly web related things. Like I was writing articles
yeah.
for places like Cloudinary and the rest. And I mean, I have published one or two articles
Mhm.
about Android development and how I was using the Cloudinary APIs to do that, but it wasn't as in demand as web related technologies and things like that.
Yeah. That's great. I see Raphael in the comments. It's good to have him here listening and I look forward to his comments. Yeah. Thank you very much, Ekene. So you've gone from Android development to the web to doing Devrel, and now you contribute as an independent consultant, as an IC, an independent contributor sometimes, or as sort of like a pseudo consultant to these teams. And you work remotely from Dubai, if I understand
Yes.
correctly. How does that dynamic work? How is it like building out of some place like Dubai? Are you in like this 68th floor condo at the moment? How is it like?
It's really cool. Like when you think back on where I was before I go to Dubai, then I kind of like really happy that I'm here now. Um, but just generally, I think it's a great place to live and work. If anyone is considering a move to Dubai, you should do it. I have a lot of reasons for that. And I think sometime back in the days, I wrote a blog post on how you can migrate to Dubai if you want to do that. But yeah, that's a different topic. How does it feel
Yes.
to be here? I think it's really cool. Just for what it's worth,
Hmm.
I have been to different places. I have stayed in a couple of other countries, just spent some time, maybe on vacation or for other different reasons. And in all the places that I've been to, I think I kind of like really like Dubai the most in terms of where do I just want
Hmm.
to stay and work. Um,
Hmm.
the stability, the security. There's a lot of opinions about Dubai on the internet, of course. People say a lot of things, but you can't really tell until you go there. And for everyone who's come here, you lived here for 3 years, maybe, so you probably know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. So for a lot of
Wow.
things that people say, you really can't tell until you come and you stay here for some time, and you will see how it's all very different from the opinions that people have on the web. But generally,
Yeah.
it's a very good place to live and work. So I'm having a good time.
Yeah. How is the business landscape and setting up like a business? How seamless is it? Do you own a business there? And how does that dynamic currently look like?
Yeah, I do own a business here, which is what I am using to actually stay here. The business is Ekene Eze, it's the business. The only employee is Ekene Eze, and the employer is Ekene Eze at the same time. So it's pretty easy to set up a business. It's just kind of expensive, depending on who you ask. But you can have a business running in Dubai in 1 week. basically. So it's not very complicated. I think it's pretty straightforward. If you have all the requirements, you will have your business and all the legalities of it done in 7 days.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. It's good to to learn of the speed. I think I had Anthony on the call, like on the stream a while back, and he talked about like setting up a company in Germany and how stringent it was. Felt like they didn't want you to set up a company there, but in some place like Dubai, they want you to they want
In
you
the
to
way they want
have a
you to set
business.
up the company. Yes, they will do
Yeah.
everything. They'll go out of their way to make sure that you set up the company. The
Yeah.
only thing that you do need is to have all the requirements. They do have some requirements
Yeah.
that you need to meet, and once you meet them and you provide all the documentation, then you can have your
Mhm.
business up and running in days.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, looking at the specifics of an independent contributor, right, to a team. So, I know from knowing you that you've come across like small teams that have built a product, they want to go to market, and they need your help, right? They need your help to formulate some strategy and
Yeah.
eventually roll out that strategy to potential users, acquire users, onboard them, and also like grow a community. How does that dynamic work? What's expected of you? How do you deliver this? And also, more importantly, how do they see the value that you bring on? And I'm asking this just in case anyone out there is considering becoming an IC that supports maybe one software company or multiple at the same time.
Yeah, that's a great question. I have worked in companies where I'm working in the capacity of an IC. Even though most of the time those companies hire me as the head of Devrel, and I get into those companies and it's just me because there's no one
Yeah,
else to be a head
just
of.
one
Yeah,
head of
so
Devrel, one person.
yeah. So that kind of makes me like an IC, and I report to the CEO or to the head of engineering. So yeah, it puts me in an IC role where I'm kind of like also my manager because I'm responsible for setting the direction for Devrel and solving the primary problem that he hired me to do. Uh, Very recently, the one that comes to mind is Collabland. Which is a Web3 company that's like a community of communities, right? You use Collabland to manage access into your token gated communities and all your tokenized communities. Make sure that people who have the right access get access to the right resources and the right platforms. And what they hired me to do was to help and bring the product to developers. Before my joining, Collabland was kind of like a bot you use on Telegram and Discord to manage access to your communities, right? But the
Mhm.
company wanted to make it available over APIs so that developers can leverage the APIs to build token gated experiences into websites, mobile apps, and all of that different places. So it was a way to basically expand the product. And then another one is to extend the Collabland product itself and make it and allow developers to basically build functionalities on top of the Collabland board. And then that way we can help them with distribution because Collabland has at the time over 50,000 different communities, right? So those are the two things that the company like, hey, come and help us take this product to developers. That's what I did, right? So when I joined, I
Huh.
started first with the documentation because at the time the products did exist, but the APIs didn't quite exist. I think the company was kind of like starting to work on it to make it available. So the back and forth with the CTO, Raymond Feng, who's a wonderful person, I was working with, and the other engineers we had in the team, working together, we were able to get the docs ready for that product and some other things that we had to do behind the scenes to make sure that we had all the developer relations facing things ready before the product was ready.
Yeah.
After that, I think we started working on the communications aspect of it. Why are we bringing this to the public? Why do people need to care about it? How can they use it? Some content started coming out of it. There's a ton of work that went behind the scenes to make sure that the launch was successful. So I don't know how deep you want me to get into it, but that's primarily what like it looks like to get hired to do something where you're working as an IC, but also you're managing yourself because you have to set direction, you have to set the target, you have to set the metrics, all the things that basically concerns Devrel will fall on you when you get hired at the head of Devrel, and it's just you and you're heading yourself.
That sounds like one man will pull.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
that sounds like a lot of work. I haven't explored like being an IC myself in the past. Something I'm curious about is how you went from web development in Devrel still with Netlify, then you went through Plasmic and then Web3,
Yeah.
right? And not just Web3 maybe at the foundations of it, but more Web3 with rolling out a product that you needed to understand the intricacies of it and how it's built and the ecosystem and what works. I mean, there's the meme and then there's the utility of it, right? Understanding all that. How were you able to make that transition? What did you have to like undergo? Some education? Did you have to learn on the fly? Was it like some sort of like a progressive onboarding? How did that transition happen between going from Plasmic, that is a website builder, if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
to Collabland Web3?
Yeah, it took some time, that's for sure. You don't get to zero in Web3 and all of a sudden you're something in Web3 without some time in between. So what happened in my case is I was interested in Web3 even before I joined Web3, right? Before I took the job at Collabland, I already looked at Solidity. I knew how to write smart contracts. I was already playing with all the Web3 technologies behind the scenes. I had my MetaMask wallet. I trade tokens.
Some NFTs.
I have some NFTs, I do all of those things just out of curiosity because I like to keep track on what's going on and what people are doing out there. So
Not
I
because you wanted
knew.
to blow.
I mean, because I wanted to blow too. I mean, you can't write that off. Everyone wants to blow. So, and I mean, it was
Okay.
back in the day. It was the bull market. NFTs were a thing.
Mhm.
All the tokens were mooning. Things. It was just a time for anyone that is curious enough to be interested. I was interested, so. And I had a couple of friends who were also doing a lot of good things in Web3. So I kept my tabs on things. So when the time came to switch, it was relatively easy. I had a lot of knowledge gaps that I needed to fill. Looking at something from the outside is not exactly the same as being in it, and basically, shepherding conversations and setting direction on how things are supposed to go. So kudos to the team that I joined. They were very supportive, showed me some of the ropes where I needed. But also before I took the job, I spent some time basically just grounding myself on that technology and the surrounding technologies, especially the ones I knew I was going to interface with. So I spent some time probably up to 2 months really before starting the new job, just familiarizing myself with the technologies, working with the tools, better understanding how things work, having conversations in Web3 communities, because up until that time, like you said, I've been in Web2. Everything I know, everything I did, all the conversations I've been part of has been Web2 related. And yeah, that is something that also took a while to get used to. When you go from Web2 to Web3, it takes some time to adjust to the new norm. Web3 developers don't think like Web2 developers, that's for sure. It's a whole different scene. Priorities are different. The things that people are kind of like, the things they shine their eyes about is very different. Web3 people are very like, yo, security. So yeah, I think it was different, but I had a very good plan leading up to joining the Web3 ecosystem.
Yeah. We went from Web3, right? And now we've moved to like AI. In my opinion, it feels like most of like the Web3 bros moved to AI. Are you going to move to AI soon? To the AI? We'll latch onto that soon as well.
I do have my hands in AI as well, but I'm still kind of like in Web3. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just I'm very curious about emerging technology, so I try to put
Yeah.
my hands everywhere and just get it a handle on how things are
Yeah.
moving and what's going on. So I've been doing a lot of AI things lately, but I'm still very much in Web3. Yes.
Oh, okay, that's good. I guess as of today, Bitcoin crossed what, $60,000
Yeah.
now. So I guess we're going to see a bit more boom again in the space with a lot more liquidity coming in.
Yeah, I think a lot of well, it's probably too early to say that, but I think the bull market is coming back. So we're going to see a lot more activity in the Web3 ecosystem. We're going to see a lot more people get excited and talk about it, and not just the few people that has stayed loyal to the Web3 ethos.
Mhm.
So yeah, the Bitcoin is coming back. I think that's everyone is excited about that. I
Yeah.
am excited about that, and yeah, I don't think it's going to affect the AI market and what's going on over there.
Mhm.
I don't think it's going to have any effect in terms of the direction and how people are actively participating in AI. But I think, if anything, Web3 people are going to be excited and people are going to start building stuff again.
Yeah. I guess there's more incentives to keep trying and keep experimenting
Yeah.
now when all the tokens are starting to go up. Something I was curious about, because I also tried Web3, like every other visionary out there. We
Yeah.
we we looked in. I wrote Solidity contracts, and coming from like the Web 2 or the normal web that we know, coming from that space,
Hmm.
the user experience has been iterated on over years, right? It's been primed in, there are authentication services at Clerk or Zero that make authentication super simple. But I try
Yeah.
authentication in Web 3 and I'm like, do I need to donate like some blood before this thing works? It felt like there was a lot of like friction, at least at the time I tried it, which was like to pretty much at the top, right?
Yeah.
That was one issue I noticed, which was like the user experience with getting started. It seemed like there was a very steep curve
Yeah.
getting in. Are there any other barriers you feel that need to be taken down for adoption on Web 3? I mean, aside removing like all the for-profit meme guys, maybe.
Mm.
Are there any other things you feel like should be taken out of that space till we're able to find like really good use for it?
Um, I think a lot of the stumbling blocks into gaining entry into Web3 has
Mhm.
been addressed to a good extent. Yeah, like just looking back in the days of truffle, nobody uses truffle anymore now, and I think it's been deprecated. Most people use hard hats now. There are there were a lot of challenges into getting started. I faced most of them myself. But yeah, what I can say is there's been a ton of improvements. Things have gotten easier. Developer experience has gotten better. Even user experience has gotten better, right? So back in the day, you need to manage all of your private keys, hold up your wallet. If you misplace it, you lose access. If someone gets access to it, you lose all your funds, things like that. Still pretty much valid even today, but there's a lot of technologies that has come out to help with that. There's account abstraction and things like that. um, yeah, if I'm to say one thing that I think could be solved to help get more Web3 adoption, I think it would still be in the area of security. People, majority of users still don't quite know how to keep themselves secure when they work with Web3 technologies, and that is for good reasons. So most of them still like freak me out when I try to understand or use them. I don't really feel like I know it very well yet. But something that I think if we can solve at the moment, we can get a lot more adoption into Web3 is the security aspect of it. People can understand how to manage themselves, manage their credentials. There's a ton of things that go into just keeping yourself secure and keeping your assets safe.
Yeah.
Uh, that I think that's usually one thing that, at least to the people that I've had conversations with, that freaks them out and they just don't want to mess with it because they don't understand it quite well enough.
Yeah.
And if you don't understand something, you're scared. If you're scared, you don't put your funds into it. So if we can tackle that, I think we can get a lot more Web3 adoption.
That's interesting because it seems like fixing safety and trust in a supposedly trustless ecosystem.
Environment. You know, right?
it's it's the priority. That's ironic. But I guess because there's a lot of like tangible value that can flow both ways, right? It can flow from like owner to someone else or vice versa, and it flows really quickly, and it doesn't, a lot of them are irrecoverable. It becomes very important that you fix safety
Yeah.
and security. For me, I don't connect anything like I see something that has to do with Ethereum or Web3, or I need to put my card or buy anything. Peace.
Yeah, so
I'm
that's
out.
that's what we need to solve now, is to get someone like you to see Ethereum and Bitcoin and things like that and still feel confident and say, hey, okay, I'm gonna put my card. That's what I
Yeah.
was talking about earlier. That's the thing that freaks people out the most, is they don't quite think they understand it well enough
Hmm.
to know what to do there, and for good reason, right? Some of the user experience, it's really poor, right? I tried to use a Dex one not so long ago, and I couldn't really figure out the UI. I
Yeah.
don't. Yeah, so there's a lot of work that we still need to do, but it's gradually getting better.
Yeah. That's great. RC in the chat asked, do you think I should get started with Web3 or AI? Thank you, sir. What do you think?
Uh, well, like I think it will probably be up to you on where your
Okay.
interest lies. I could tell you to get started with AI and you have no interest whatsoever in AI, and you will just be frustrated down the line. So I just look to yourself, figure out where you probably find the most excitement, or the things that you're interested in, or the areas you want to improve yourself in. If it's Web3, that's totally fine. If it's AI, that's also fine. I don't also see why you can't
Mhm.
do both. If you want to do both, just spend your weekends learning about these things. That's all. That's
Yeah.
what I can tell you. Yeah.
That's great. I feel like it's also a question of depth, right? So how deep do you want to go? If you want to get into like the AI ecosystem, do you want to get into the recent wave of LLMs and building wrappers and looking at how to like do some prompt engineering, or do you want to go um, really foundational and think about how to train models, or even like start from transfer learning and building out text to speech or even LLM models and neural networks. And same thing too goes for Web3, right? Looking at smart contracts and the different protocols and layers. It's like layer 1, 2, 3, different roll-ups and things. I see all that stuff. I just ignored a lot of them. I guess it depends on how deep you want to go
Yeah.
with with getting started. Um, Personally, being like a business person, I look for like where does the most opportunity lie. Um, with Web3, there is the opportunity to create value out of thin air, which a lot of people did, right? But you probably will not be so lucky. But with AI, you have the opportunity to create something very tangible, right? Something
Yeah.
useful as well.
Yeah.
With Web3, everyone's still trying to figure out like usage and how how useful is it really. Um,
Yeah. And there's
speaking
also Web
speaking of
5, which a lot of people are also doing at the moment. That could also be interesting to look at.
Yeah, yeah. There's Web5. I don't know why it's somehow like Ace Kid came to mind, and I see him like in the chat. It's like, hey man, yeah, hey bro, if you're listening, I think I've seen Ace Kid and Web5 before somewhere
Yeah. Yeah.
in
Ace,
tandem.
Ace
I need to,
works at a Web 5 company now.
what's Web5 about?
Maybe you need to get him on stream. Let's talk about that.
I need to find Ace to talk about Web5 because I've seen that. Was the first time I saw it, I was like, nah, man, come on. We haven't even finished with Web3 yet. But definitely, I need to learn more. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be the ignorant one that would let the next Bitcoin pass me by. So I'm going to, yeah, I'm definitely going to talk to Ace. Yeah, definitely. I see Ace on the chat where we're definitely going to come on and talk about Web5. Speaking of learning, and getting started with something anew, right? I
Mhm.
figured this was one of your motivation with DX mentorship.
Yeah.
And I've been on one of the sessions talking about the foundations of no, not the foundation of technical writing, if I remember, but some of like the best kept tips from what we do at Hackmamba
Yeah.
and how we perceive like technical writing processes. I've spoken about those on DX mentorship. So, could you speak a bit more to DX mentorship and how it facilitates this learning? And I have a question after that, but I want to hear your take on why DX mentorship and basically the thought process around the actualities of it.
Yeah, DX mentorship is something born out of like the genuine interest in helping people to the part that we struggled to figure out. Um, we we wanted to have a way to learn in the from the experience of people who have been there, right? That's the whole point of
Mhm,
mentorship, is that someone who has been there can show you the way, so that things that were difficult for them would relatively be easier for you to navigate. And that's what we
mhm.
do at DX Mentorship. Um, it's primarily to get people into Devrel. This could be developers, or anyone from any other discipline that is interested in becoming a developer advocate. And
Mhm.
the strategy that we take there is to get people who have been DevRels for some time, who have had to go from zero to something in DevRel, come and share their experiences and teach us the right way to think about it. Um, DevRel is very nuanced in that every company has their version or flavor of it, and a lot of people define it in a lot of different ways. The roles are kind of like different in a lot of different places, and community manager, there's technical writers, there's people who speak at conferences, people who make videos, tons and tons and tons of different things in DevRel. So what we do at DX Mentorship is invite people who are experts in those different areas, right? You spoke to us about technical writing. You've been doing technical writing for a long time. Your company is built around that. Today we had Brian Douglas, who has been a DevRel back
Yeah.
2013, 2016.
Yeah.
Talked to us, worked at GitHub, Netlify, a couple of other places. Now is the founder of Open Source. Talked to us today about DevRel and his experiences. We've had Tejas, we've had just tons of people. Like we have AC's boss coming up next. Angie Jones is going to be talking to us as well about Devrel and how they do it at blog. So we take the approach of let's learn from the people who are doing the job, so that when you do get it, their experiences can help you shape what you do and define the work that you do at those places when you get hired. So that's DX mentorship
Hmm.
and how we are going about it.
Yeah. And which what kind of folks do you accept in? Do you take on like anyone, or are these like engineers? What's the criteria to get in? Basically, I put the link to the website in the chat, by the way, in case anyone wants to check it out. But what's the criteria to like apply? What do you look out for?
I think the thing that we look out for really is a compelling story, and that is in response to why do you want to join us, and then some form of technical background, because
Mhm.
we don't want to teach you how to code. We want to build on your existing knowledge to let you know how you can, build on that to become a better DevRel. So those are the
Mhm.
two criterias that, as I would say, anyone can come from any background, any discipline. We really just want to hear, why is this, mentorship important to you? How would it help your life? How would it help your career? What kind of impact would it make if you were selected? And then we want to hear, what is your technical background? Do you know how to code? Do you know how to use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript? Have you built anything before? Because I think it will be unfair to just accept someone into the mentorship and then tell them that, hey, you need some kind of technical competence to be a good developer advocate, and then they have to drop off
Hmm.
because they don't have it. So those are the two requirements. Other than that, we accept everyone else.
Huh. So that was definitely my next question is the notion of technical competence with developer relations, right? Do you think it's important, and why?
I I think it's required. right? I don't
Okay.
think it's just important. I think it's, again, Devrel is an umbrella of a lot of other things that are just under it.
Mm-hmm.
If, for instance, you're hired as a community manager, where your task is to, keep the community active, share things, and organize events, and basically keep people happy and engaging in your community, you may not
Mm-hmm.
need as much technical competence to do that job. I think you could probably get away with just the bare minimum of technical competence. But that is just one part of Devrel. If you're going to speak at conferences and you're going to talk to developers, well,
Mm-hmm.
you definitely need to know what you're saying, right? So
Yeah.
for me, I think I stay on the side of, um, have the skill, and if you do not need to use it in your job, that's fine. But most of the time, you're going to need to use it. So that's why it's kind of like a requirement for the mentorship. Is I want people to get in knowing that, okay, it's not going to be a situation where you don't have any technical skills at all, and you want to advocate for developers who all have the technical skills. You may not be able to get along with them in conversations. You may not be able to provide technical support. You may not be able to create content that teaches them. You may not. You won't be able to do a lot of things. Basically, so that's my foundational, basis of saying, hey, I think you do need to have some level of technical competence.
Yeah, I totally agree with you as well. I like to see developer advocacy, and this is just something I just thought about now. If I was to group developer advocacy into, what are like the core roles a developer advocate has, I would say it's people, content, and community. No, sorry, product, content, and community, not people, because people fall in community. And typically, each of these have like demand different like skill sets, right? For like the product and the content, you need like really, you need really good engineering skills. For community, maybe not as much. You just need to be able to, I don't know, support people, be a, like, first be a great person, like a great people person, right? Be able to show them the way. But definitely, I totally agree with you. I was hoping, I wasn't hoping, but I was hoping you wouldn't say you do not need technical skills.
So you
You do
can
not need
roast me.
technical skills. That would have been highlight. That'll be something I'll play on your birthday for the for like the next 5 to 6 years. Yeah. That's so what's the future of DX mentorship at the moment? Is this something you continue, like you just do it out of the willingness of your heart, right?
Yeah,
Where do you
before
see this going? What's the vision for it, basically?
Yeah, I'm happy to take that question. Like, before we do that
Mhm.
though, you've worked as a developer advocate or adjacent. You've been in this industry for, the last couple of years, and you've had some experience. You have friends who are
Yeah.
DevRels. So what is your own opinion in terms of the technical requirement part of developer advocate?
Yeah. Oh, I feel, bluntly put, I feel like a developer advocate should be a great engineer first, right? Because I mean, from my time doing developer advocacy, even though I've never had a full time job as a developer advocate anywhere. But from my time doing developer advocacy, I've had to sit in between people and product, right? Either like teaching something or showing something, demonstrating something, teaching it to people that have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, right? And I don't think there's any way you're able to teach that without actually knowing it, right? I remember, I think there was someone. I'm trying to remember his name. He works at Microsoft. He thought like there's this React course on Egghead. Was it Egghead? Man, his name is Brian as well. It's Brian as well. And I listened to that talk, and first thing I thought to myself was, how can like this person teach this so well, right? If they have like no idea of like the foundations of React to start with, not just like React on the top level, not React with hooks, and React to like just put like pass effect, use effect, and pass state up and down. But understanding like the foundations of React, they're able to take you from not even zero, from like -5 all the
Mhm.
way to 10, right? And since then, I've I mean, I'd lost the opinion that to be great at Devrel and developer advocacy, you just have to be a good engineer to know what you're talking about. So there has to be competence for sure,
Mhm.
and not just in a broader sense, like Devrel in a broader sense or developer advocacy, but also within the three prongs that I mentioned, right? So within products, you have to be a good engineer. Within content, you also have to be a good engineer. Within community, you also have to be a good engineer because you want folks to send in issues and bugs, and you want to be able to first understand what they're talking about and
Yeah.
then look at the problem from multiple angles to prefer solutions to them. So yeah, that's what I think. Others might have like different opinions, but
Yeah.
that's up to them. So yeah, that's
It's
what I think.
very especially when you work with early stage people who are trying to get started in
Mhm.
DevRel. A popular thing that I've seen happen is people see, okay, I want to get into tech, right? I want to be a part of this, buzzing ecosystem. I want to make the next billion bucks. This is the way to go. This is what everyone's doing. And then they get into it, and then the whole coding, programming, they hear Python, JavaScript, they hear a bunch of programming languages get thrown at them. And then they ask the next question like, okay, so is there a way for me to participate in this tech thing without having to write the code? And
Yeah.
somehow, weirdly enough, DevRel always comes up. And then you see people come from like a marketing background and say, well, I want to get into tech, but as a DevRel. No, you need to get into tech as a tech marketing person, right?
Yeah.
So that's the thing that I kind of like battle with the most with people trying to join the
Yeah.
TX mentorship program is they usually come, and I think part of it is my fault because I say, hey, everyone is welcome, like as long as you have some kind of technical background to build upon.
Yeah.
I think I have to
Hmm.
change that messaging a little bit, but because I really want to be open to everyone, because it's the whole program is just about helping people, upskill in DevRel.
Hmm.
But I think casting a wide net like that is also why we are having the people who come from
Yeah.
like really non-technical background and just want to become developer advocates. So I think it's a core requirement to be effective and to be a good DevRel, you need to be a good engineer first. All right.
Yeah.
Let's get on to your question.
Yeah, that's true. No, like you're very correct. I faced like the same issues with technical writing because I went down just the niche of technical writing, and I get a lot of people want to get into technical writing. Funny enough, because they're really not adept at software engineering, right?
Yeah.
They're not great engineers. They've tried, and it's like, yeah, this is too difficult, but maybe they are good at writing. They have great literature skills, so they're like, yeah, I'm going to do technical writing, and I'm like, I don't think it works that way. There are some things you can, some technical terms you could learn and explain, but at the cost of it, it's technical. It's
Yeah.
technical writing. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some technical marketing bits that can be written, right? That you could write, and those would pass top of funnel content, right? That is about a SaaS product or even a developer tool to compare to developer tools. You could research, create the content, and your technical skills are not put to the test.
Yeah.
But eventually, I feel like if you want to grow and you want to advance, you would need you need some technical skills, and you would need to get them from building. Because I also learned something in the last couple of years. It's different when you've been like an engineer working on a product and building something, like building with like real world processes, than when you're just building demos,
Yeah.
building like small stuff, and you go from that to deliver on a really large product. The I think the experience, porting the experience has just been has been different, and that's from my experience. And anyone else is free to, to disagree with that. I feel like we're bordering on hot takes territory. We're bordering on hot takes territory with this.
That is the best territory.
Yeah, that's the best territory, man. Stir everybody up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, that was all the questions I had for you. If you
Yeah.
have
So
any
let's talk
questions for
about the
me,
feature of DX mentorship, as you were asking earlier on,
yeah.
before I
Hmm.
pivoted. What I envision for it is to get to the point where it becomes kind of like a pipeline that, like a function that you feed in some parameters which are like the engineers, and then the function outputs Devrels for you. So that is the goal. We haven't gotten there yet, but we are close. If you look at the DX
Hmm.
mentorship website, you'd see we'll probably have, people who come through DX mentorship get hired in at least 5 to 6 different companies now, which is like testament to the work that we do and the kind of things that we teach. We help people with CVs, we help them with their job applications. Once you graduate, we have your profile somewhere that we share with recruiters who are looking for entry-level dev roles, even internship opportunities and things like that. So the primary goal is to help people get into DevRel. But what I'm hoping for is that in the near future, we will be able to directly connect these people as we've equipped them with all the skills they need. We can directly connect them to employers as well, who would then take them into these companies. Because it's very helpful to help people get skills, marketable skills that they can use to, feed their families. But I think it's even better if you can directly help position them into, different workplaces where they can get hired, and then you can see, basically see
Yeah,
how your help on the things that you've told them have translated and changed their lives and their lives of their loved ones.
yeah. So it sounds like a light Devrel, practical Devrel university,
Yeah,
where you come in without like Devrel skills or some of it, and then you go out like really equipped and ready to, to go really
yeah,
hard at Devrel, but with practical skills. So you're not
practical.
teaching with like courses. You're not. Do
Yeah,
you have like courses and like
no,
people
no.
teaching stuff daily? Oh, okay.
No, we do. I like things to be very practical. Everything you learn is something that you can immediately apply in your workplace, or
Yeah,
if you're not even working yet, it's something that you can start seeing the value of the next day, right? That's why
yeah,
the only people that come on to talk to the mentees are people who are doing Devrel in different
yeah.
places. Right. So you
Mhm.
shared your story with us when you came on. A couple of other, amazing developer advocates have come on, and what we want to do
Yeah,
is basically learn from their own experiences, how they do their role in their workplace, share with us, and tell us what we can do with that knowledge, right? So I think you told us to write some blog posts and publish on Hashnode and things like that. So very very tangible things that we do that you're sure of. It's not, oh, go and study this course or go and do this XYZ thing. No, we do very practical things that these mentees can start applying on immediately.
yeah. That's great. That's fantastic to know,
Yeah.
as well. Yeah. So can anyone sign up? Like I see there's an apply button on the website. The website looks good and looks neat and modern, by the way. So can anyone just go and apply? When is the next cohort? Because I know you have like cohorts.
Yes. So at the moment, the current cohort is ongoing. So there's not going to be like a sign up or thing going on at the moment until we complete the current cohort. So we're going to be completing this cohort in March next month.
Mm-hmm.
So the subsequent cohort is going to start 2 months after that. So that's in May, sometime in May, we're going to have
Mm-hmm.
the next cohort start. And we have very interesting lineup for the next cohort. I don't think I want to talk about that yet, but
Yeah.
we have very interesting mentees at the moment who are going through the program. We've got a backlog of people who applied, and we promised them a spot in the next cohort. And we have like a really good line of experts, Devrel advocates who are going to be talking to us about their experiences. So look out for that. When the time comes, we're going to, of course, share and make announcements, and people can sign up. But yeah, they can't do that at the moment.
Yeah, I think this sounds like a great pipeline for us to at Hackmamba to bring on developer advocates from there, and we're certain they're great engineers, and they've learned from the best, and they're ready to get stuff done.
That is precisely what we are about. So if we give you a dev advocate, you can be rest assured that they have the necessary skills to do the job.
Yeah, that's great then. We've just come up on time, so thank you so much, Ekene, for coming up. I'll see you on the other side as usual. We'll talk about the regular, and thanks to everyone else that's tuned in to listen to us. And if you have any questions, yeah, time is up to ask them now. But you can always find Kenny on Twitter at KennyIO, and ask him those questions. Sign up to DX Mentorship while you're at it. It could be your in to getting started with Devrel. Any final words, Kenny, before we pull the curtain?
Thank you everyone who joined us on stream today. Thank you, Ace. Thank you, Joshua Navi. I see you. Thank you, Dixon. A couple of people from the X Mentorship actually. So thank you all for joining us. Yeah, thank you all for joining us, and yeah, we hope to do this sometime.
Yeah, sure. Hope to have you on another stream. And for now, it's everything outside code. And see you all later.
Bye, everyone.